Volkswagen Racing supports South African motorsport. This week on Rapid Motion Africa, the Cannonball Run KZN, and a look at the 2011 South African Motorsport Champions. The Cannonball Run KZN 2011 is proudly brought to you by the Round Table and Supercar Lifestyle. Welcome to the Round Table Cannonball Run KZN 2011, where teams take part in a series of motoring activities to raise money for charity. This is the second time this regional Cannonball Run takes place in KwaZulu-Natal, starting with the usual briefing evening before the start of the event at Cubana Latino Cafe in Florida Road, Durban.
I don't know what to expect, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm a bit nervous, but I think it's going to be great fun.
I'm sure it's going to be great fun as I welcome the convener of the event, Ross Crichton. This is always a fun event, but the weather also plays a role. Hopefully it'll be better this year.
We are very lucky in the past to have had good weather, and this event was no different, except for some of the afternoons, late afternoons, where we had a few issues. But all in all, a fantastic event, and Cubana were very gracious in hosting us.
The Toyota test track at 6:30. Chris Black, not 7:30 or 7 o'clock, 6:45, 7:30.
Ross, I'm going to cane you for getting us up this early.
Yeah, you always do every time. Remember that this is not a race, it's a run for charity. We create sporting events so that you can yard, okay, in controlled environments. Please do not yard or speed on open roads.
Let's take a look at the entry list. Some well-known names there, Ross, and also I see Mrs. Crichton.
Yeah, my wife filled up the numbers and entered with Robin Gabadi, and it was good to see old Chris Black back, and old Sylvia's there coming up from the Cape Town event.
Gordon and Colleen Baker, we know them well.
Yeah, they were last year's winner, and then of course we have the Captain Chaos and Calm from the Africa event, Ricky Riva and Paolo Riva.
So, starting off at the Toyota test facility just outside Durban.
Yeah, it was very kind of the Toyota test track to lend us the facility for the morning, or the first couple of hours. And we used two of their facilities, which is the Toyota test track Figure 8, which is a high-speed testing facility, and then their FX stage, which is a skid pan at the end of a gymkhana.
2, 1, go!
Some welcome glamour to the event as we set off on the first of the exercises, and this will be the Figure 8 run on the high-speed section of the track.
This is our test track that we use to test and approve all local and imported vehicles for the South African market. We make sure that they adhere to the requirements by law, and also to all the development requirements that Toyota set for our vehicles if we are using local components or locally developed items for the vehicle.
Hendrik, you'll remember we used this stage last year, but of course just trying to freshen things up a little bit, we changed the gymkhana aspect around. In fact, the Toyota test track guys helped us with that.
From Toyota's point of view, we are just involved as a good-hearted part towards a charity. We just try and make sure that the charity gets a fair donation and that there is valuable contributions to the community in this area.
Well, it's great to have a company like Toyota involved in an event like this.
That's Gary and Brett in that Ferrari 360, gingerly going through the
conditions seem to be a little bit tricky. I said earlier on the weather conditions might affect the event.
It was a little damp, but yeah, it dried up pretty quickly and the guys had a lot of fun.
Some nice cars once again. That's one of the nice features, apart from the charity aspect of things. Some beautiful cars in this year's event as well, and there's the old M3.
Yeah, this is Captain Chaos, and you'll understand why in a second, why we call him Captain Chaos. It's just a constant chaos with this guy. Ricky Riva, one of our spit cops, if you remember them from the Africa event. There's Gordon and Colleen Baker, last year's winners of the KZN event. And the Joe Cools entered Audi R8.
Well, this four-wheel drive Subaru, always very competitive on events like these.
That was good. That skid pan's ridiculous though. Who brought the sunlight liquid?
Sean making all sorts of excuses.
As we see the skid pan results. Any surprises?
Yeah, Peter Ackerman, he usually puts it first on all the sporting events, but I suppose this one is a little bit more technical for him.
Gordon and Colleen taking top honours there. Now some more action from the Figure 8. Why is it called Figure 8? Is it a literal...
Literally a Figure 8. They come back on themselves on the main straight.
And there, at high speed of the Porsche 911 Turbo made the difference, clearly.
Yeah, good to see old George Besson throwing that SLK 55 AMG around, and Ricky Riva and Paolo Riva finishing it off in 7th there.
Okay, so after the first event of the day, they're off, I think, towards the highway and towards their next challenge.
Yeah, they got a very simple clue book that led them to the Idube race circuit.
There we go. It's a bit of a tricky road there, Ross. Some of these guys wouldn't have wanted to drive on it.
Yeah, we actually got them to park here just off the road, and then we transported them down to the circuit itself.
Okay, we'll get to how the clue book works a little bit later, but this is the second of their challenges. They're coming to the karting track at Idube, and it's going to be a very interesting challenge.
We are bringing all the competitors in on the gravel road. We left their cars there. We're going to get 2 9-year-olds and a 5-year-old to set a track time on the karting track that you can see behind me. And then we're going to see if the guys can beat a 4th and 0 graders time.
Well, these little guys in these little carts, they're 60cc carts, and they would do around about, I guess, 53, 54 seconds a lap. So that would be interesting to see whether the adults can beat these youngsters. And, well, I don't know whether we're going to identify everybody, but they're doing these laps in junior max carts, 125cc carts. So it'll be interesting to see how their times compare with the junior karters.
Well, that looks like my wife, and trust me, that's not going very fast.
She's not endangering that target time.
No.
I tell you what, it's a tricky track. This a very tricky track, and if you're not used to karting, and especially if you don't used to the track, then it's not going to be easy to beat that time.
I never got a chance to actually go myself, but looking at the track itself, it's very interesting and quite picturesque. If you have a look over the track itself, it's fantastic.
Oh. Look left before you go left, mate. Well, I'm sure a lot of fun has been had by all. And as you say, the weather has changed for the better as well.
Some more fun than others.
I think that was just for fun. Well, look at that lap time, 56. So that means that none of these adults could actually beat any of the time set by those junior karters.
Guys, we've got to concentrate.
I'm trying to tell you something.
No, we've got to concentrate.
Listen to me. There was a sign where we went past.
Yes,
that
with the
said,
lights, yes.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
Where's the jump?
Hendrik, now you get to an idea of what goes on in a car when you give him a clue book, and it makes perfect sense to me, but not always perfect sense for everybody else. So working it out is not always an easy thing to do.
Okay, so let's talk about this. How does it work? They've got a book and they've got certain instructions of where to go, and then they've got certain questions to be answered.
Some of it are clues, so you've got to follow the clue to make the turn, or on other occasions I'll just give you the turn that you have to make. But along the route you would have to work out various clues that either it's a picture on a signboard that you've taken some information out of and you've got to try and find it, or it's a arithmetic issue of trying to work out which route to take.
Oh, we're looking for 5 elephants. I'm also looking for the price of the minerals. No.
To make it interesting for everybody and just something different, we gave them a challenge that they had to come into the Lion Park here and find some things in the shop. And yeah, they had a minute to colour in a picture of a car. And obviously the better you coloured it in, the more points you earned.
So the whole thing is about earning points, and in the end we are going to have a winning team.
Exactly. Not strictly based on time, of course, but on a culmination of a lot of things. Here the guys are arriving in Pietermaritzburg. The stop was sponsored by Frankie Bananas, and they also put on a lunch and drinks for the guys. And here they had to race a electric wheelchair, Hendrik.
And that is not always as easy as it looks.
Yeah, I think it's important for the guys to get a feel for what they're actually paying money towards, what charity and what it brings for the people.
It's going quite good, eh? We're missing a few clues along the way, but we'll find it. We're going to go back now and find them. So far, so good. So far, so good. We have a great day.
And Ross, this event is aimed at raising money for a particular charity.
Yeah, we're raising funds for Kwaza, which will be donated via the round table.
We had some good fun on the motorsport this morning. So far we're not doing too bad on clues, except we missed all the bloody high points. But no, it's good, having fun.
Victory! It's been a long morning. We battled with a one-pointer.
A single one-pointer had us driving up and down. I think wherever we were.
We just refused to let it go.
That's the attitude, I think, the correct attitude. I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of fun in this event as well. Any surprises there, Ross?
Yeah, it's quite funny to see Strange there, Mark Strange, of course, that is in first place, and good to see the Joe Cools guys in fourth.
Victoria Road, Kraling, so Kraling's off to Victoria, so get into that lane.
So as you can see, Hendrik, the use of GPS systems and everything else that you can get your hands on to make it easier for yourself is permitted, unless otherwise stated for a specific stage.
Right, so coming to our next challenge, what exactly is that going to be?
This is an unusual one. We gave them power tools and gave them the opportunity to race against each other to see who could cut through the log faster. A bit like an American style.
Yeah, now we'll see who watches ESPN more than others. So they watch the lumberjacks. See how they do it there in America.
I was petrified that somebody might just cut a finger off or something.
Well, some really impressive times then. It looks like if you are an owner of an AMG Merc, you'll probably get a chainsaw in as part of the package.
As well as a copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Sure. Well done to Mrs. Crichton for finishing in 7th position there. Off to the next challenge now. Lovely car, this Porsche 911 Turbo.
Yeah, the 997, and as you know, Hendrik, over the last few Cannonball runs, he's been unstoppable in the sporting events. It's a quick car, that. The other guys are in Camberg, just outside of Rosetta. Unfortunately, this stage we eventually canned because the weather just got too heavy and we couldn't run all the cars through here. But it was an 800-meter stretch, and you'll see later in the program on day 2, we actually run a 3-kilometer on the same road. Guys had a lot of fun, and this is what it's about, you know, giving the guys an opportunity in a controlled environment to stretch their legs so that they don't do it on the public roads.
Absolutely right. That's the way to go about doing it. If you've got a fast car, take part in something like a Cannonball Run, then you can get the opportunity of really stretching your legs. Well, it's a pity that the challenge had to be cancelled.
Yeah, unfortunately we have to put safety first, and it just wasn't safe for the marshals or the competitors to take part once the weather set in.
On board with Gordon and Colleen Baker in their Subaru Forester, and this is what it looks like behind the wheel. But from here on, after the cancellation, you set them down for a very interesting challenge.
Something completely different, off to Hilton, which was the end venue, and just outside the hotel we had a TLB, which was sponsored by a local round tabler, which was kind enough for him to do so. And the guys had 3 minutes to pick up 2 boulders and individually and put them into the tires. I tried this, and at about 3 minutes 30, when I couldn't get one in, I gave up.
Yeah, it's tricky to operate one of those machines.
Well, everything works counter to how you would imagine. So if you turn right, you think you're going to move in one angle, and then you're actually going up and down and sideways. It's crazy. Don't give me that.
All about hand-eye coordination, maybe a bit of luck as well.
No, probably a lot of skill, which I probably didn't have.
Party time after the day's fun.
Yeah, we had a themed evening, of course, just the 2 nights. So this was what you were wearing when the ship went down, and some interesting outfits, and a lot of fun being had.
2 cars, and I think this is on about. 2 cars came and said we never got our vehicle. We never got our car numbers. You know who you are. You don't have to earn up, just secretly deposit 200.
Of course, Hendrik, one of the main reasons we're here is to raise funds for charity, and the way we do that is through the Cannonball Run dollars. It's a 1-for-1 exchange with rands. You can't exchange back for rands, and that money goes to charity and buying various items for charities. Of course, we've got here Peter Corlett, who comes down from Joburg every year to help us with it. He's our professional chip Cannonball Run Highway idiot on patrol.
And dishing out all kinds of fines.
Down to Stefan and Rena, also cone kickers. You made up your own track.
And of course, you can be fined for any odd reason that he finds. Of course, making up your own track would definitely be one of them.
Documentary evidence that they colluded with the Ferrari.
Yeah, collusion is a problem on these events.
And that is incontrovertible proof.
It's right there. I mean, you're stealing information from other competitors. That's not allowed.
No wonder they were fined.
There's Gary, of course, in the Ferrari F360 asking if they accepted Zim dollars. I don't know so much about that one, Gary.
Unfortunately, you're about 30 odd points behind the leader. In second place, drum roll, please. Both of these first and second are in Subarus.
And it's the old taskmasters of the Cannonball Runs. You've got Sean Pretorius and Gordon Baker in their Subarus in second and first, respectively.
The morning of day 2 and a chance for the participants to exchange some rands for Cannonball dollars. That's what they look like from close up.
Most needed, of course, because I think old Peter fined them heavily the night before.
I'd just like to let you know that because of your involvement and because of all the fines and stuff like that, both those chairs are being donated by a round table in the Cannonball Run to Ashley Village Home in Durban. 40,000 rands worth of those wheelchairs have been donated, so congratulations to you. One team said, well, 2's not good enough, so we'll give you the cash for a third one. So we have a third wheelchair we'll be giving away. We're going to leave here, starting with the smallest number, even number, so number 2. 2, 4, 6, 8.
So that'll be the running order of the day, but that's tremendous, Ross. I mean, that was 60,000 rand in one go.
60,000, we only had 13 cars entered, so if you amortize that out, it's a hell of a lot of money per entered team, so they're doing a wonderful job. By the end of this event, we actually ended up giving away 5 motorized wheelchairs, which...
At 20,000
At 20,000, that's 100 grand. I mean, that's a fantastic response.
Cheers. Right. Turn right onto M80, then turn left onto the N3 North. Okay. If the alphabetic letter A equals 5, M equals 17, and U equals 25.
What?
Yeah, I was actually reading things. Did I write that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the whole mystique of the Cannonball Run is you got not just straight directions, turn left onto the N3 North or whatever it might be, but you've got some mathematical equations to work through as well.
Well, I think that explains why experience counts on this event.
Definitely. I often say that if you're entering for the first time, you probably won't win.
Everybody at home, we're having so much fun. We want you to sit back, relax, and see how it's done. Stay with us.
Well, from the hotel's perspective, obviously it's very good to get involved with good community projects. The Cannonball Run is a charitable event. All funds raised go to the Quad Para Association of South Africa, and it's good exposure for the hotel also to be involved with these projects to give some good back to the communities.
Yeah, we were very fortunate with Jean-Claude and his team at the Hilton Hotel in Hilton.